Yeah. Okay. Um, okay. So, I think we sort of previewed this a bit, but the idea, I think everybody is feeling, that they have some ideas they want to pursue. They have some things they want to try, but there's a time and focus, and just sort of kind of how do you break through that? So this is about accelerating, and the idea is how do you have a shift you want to make? How do you make that shift sooner? How do you make that shift faster? So it's about acceleration. Next slide. And what we find is that there's a couple of different ways to think about this. How do you basically move things from later to sooner? I think that, if you were to say, okay, what can I do in the next 3 months? You make a long list of things, and then you might not get started on it, or 3 months might be too long, really, in terms of taking advantage of the opportunities you have. So how do you move things from later to sooner? And how do you kind of, one way to think about this is like, well, how many things can I do next week? Let's list kind of a radical focus. Radically sooner, radically faster. Let's talk about next week. And we have something we call the 3 Ps. Doing things in pieces, right? So break things into small pieces. Doing things in parallel. There's a sense that we tend to think that we have to do things in a logical order, which is sometimes useful. We have to do one thing before the next, and therefore it's a sequence, and therefore it doesn't get started because we think we have to do them in a logical order. But sometimes you can do things in parallel that you didn't realize if you really say, okay, what actually can I do at the same time, not to try to be sequential about it. And when can I get people to do things for me? When can I say, okay, I think I have to think about that, but maybe somebody else could think about that. I think I can offload this to somebody else, either within my organization or outside my organization. I can get somebody else to kind of move. Here's a thing that somebody else could do, looking for things that someone else can do that's not you. Next slide. And there's something that we're going to press on, I think, in the breakout sessions. You kind of know those 5-minute recipes. Everybody said you can cook this in 5 minutes or 15 minutes, and that really, kind of lowers the bar for you and say, okay, well, I can make that, if it only takes 5 minutes or 15 minutes. Our version of this is, what can you do next week in 1 hour that gets you started on your timeline? So it's very hard to say, if you see it, what you're trying to do is a long slope up a mountain, or lifting a huge rock, then you probably won't do it. But if you can figure out, okay, 1 hour next week, who could not schedule 1 hour, right? What thing can I do next week that will get me moving, get this thing on the road, or just move it forward? Maybe it's already on the road, but you want to accelerate it. What can I do in 1 hour next week that will get me started? Next slide. So we've asked you to do, about 5 minutes of extra work, individual work and thinking, and put that focus on it. Get specific about near-term next steps, and in particular, things you can do next week. Looking for 1 hour recipes. Maybe I can get my team together for an hour and brainstorm about something. Maybe I can jot down a marketing story, a beginning of a pitch in 1 hour. Maybe I can meet with a marketing person for an hour and kind of have them quiz me. What can I do in 1 hour? Because again, if you say it's just 1 hour, then it's harder to put it off, or harder to say you can't do it. And you can do an amazing amount of things in 1 hour if that's your focus. So let's spend about 5 minutes thinking about this, kind of jotting things down maybe, and then after that we're going to jump into the breakout sessions and really push hard on this.